what I'm most grateful for my time in the service is I would call it like having an extra gear. Like mentally, I'm like, man, this sucks, and I don't want to do this anymore. And then my interior monologue will be like, no, it doesn't. You're not getting shot at. You're getting fed. Like, you've done much worse things than this. Like, come on, you can do this another day. And so I think that's always kind of been an extra advantage for me.
Today, we have an awesome episode where we talk with Jimmy and Susie Vreeland out of St. Louis, who have a rockstar operation.
Yeah, I'm excited to have our very first guest on the podcast. And I think they're such the perfect first guest because they have a kind of similar story to us where Jimmy initially started the business and then Susie came in as operation support and then she peeled off and started her own business. So they've kind of come in and out of growing businesses together while raising a family, 4 kids. And what I love about this episode is we kind of get to go behind closed doors and understand a little bit of how their relationship works and how that works with their businesses. And I always find that really informative on what really happens and what it really takes.
Yeah, I really love this episode. Talking to a guy who's able to buy 60 houses while working his W-2 job just blew my mind.
In 1 year.
In 1 year. I'm so excited for everybody else to learn the tips and tricks and how their flexibility and support for each other help them explode beyond that. Let's get into it. Well, hello, my love, and welcome everybody to our first guest on our podcast. We have 2 people today, Jimmy and Susie Vreeland, which I am super excited to introduce to our audience and to get to know you guys a little bit better.
We're on a double date.
Yay!
Yay!
It's the only way I get to do a date. It's like this. This is wonderful.
I know. This is way easier to plan, right?
A little bit. And you guys got
I
a
like
rainy
it.
day over there
Double date
today?
Zoom.
What was that?
I said I like it, the double date Zoom.
I know. This is great. It was a little challenging, little technical difficulties getting us all lined up, but I think we're here, which is great.
All right, awesome, cool. And, I'm super excited to talk to you guys. You guys have built incredible, not just business, but businesses and have done some stuff together and excited to kind of learn. I think there's a lot of parallels kind of between Stephanie and I in terms of have started companies together and maybe branched off, kind of done our own thing on the side and somehow keeping it all together of like, businesses moving forward and healthy spousal relationships and the trials and tribulations and excitement that comes with it all.
Lots of stuff in between. I think it'd be really fun to start with your love story. Like, I want to know how you guys met.
Oh,
Why don't you take it away? Why don't you start?
oh heavens. Well, so Jimmy and I was living in Austin, Texas, and he was living in St. Louis, and we both worked for the same medical sales company. And his boss needed some help for him on something called My Boss. So we got connected for a sales call, and I was supposed to fly up to St. Louis to help him on something. And it was like your first big sales call.
Yeah.
Jimmy is a closer.
Yeah.
It was my first, so I'd been out of the Army for like 3 or 4 months, and it was like my first opportunity to close.
So he was selling the metal for knees and hips. And he had a sales call, an appointment scheduled with a surgeon who was interested in my stuff. I sold a computer system that they used in the operating room. So I worked for a different branch of our company. Anywho, should I tell the cell phone story? Yeah. So my first communication with him, it was like emails. And then he called me and he was really nervous. And he was like, hey, are you ready for this sales call? Like, do you need anything? It was like, I think 24 hours before. And so we would do demonstrations on these sawbones that the surgeons could drill on. And he asked me, he goes, do you need a half pelvis or a full pelvis? Like a half pelvis with 1 leg, full pelvis with 2 legs. And I said, I was like, I don't care. I go, it really doesn't matter. I go, half pelvis is fine. Full pelvis is better. And he started shouting expletives.
Yes.
And I was like, oh my God, like no contact. And then he hangs up on me. And I was like, oh my gosh. I was like, what did I say? So then I'm sitting at a coffee shop in Austin. And then he calls me back like 5 minutes later and he goes, okay, so I thought he was in a car accident. I didn't know what happened. And then he calls me back and is like, I got the full pelvis. Is there anything else you need? And I was like, this is very strange.
An explanation, maybe?
No explanation. And I was like, I'm confused, but I'm also oddly intrigued because I'd been dating and it just wasn't going well. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to be solo the rest of my days and this is going to be great.
What year was this that you guys met?
This was,
2009.
Okay.
yeah, 2008 or 9.
And then looking back, I think, like in the military, you know, before you went out on your mission, the pre-combat inspection, like you had to have your stuff tight. And if it wasn't tight, like you were kind of a piece of crap. And so I think mentally, I'm like, I'm on the phone with this girl. I'm doing my pre-combat inspection. I'm going to close this sale. It's going to be awesome. And then she's like, and then I have the right pelvis. So then I went into a little bit of a freak out mode. Because if my pre-combat inspection wasn't tight, I would have freaked out, you know, in the Army from what I just left.
But I was like a very adaptable person. I was like, I'll make anything work. Like, you show up without a pelvis and I'll figure it out. Like, I don't care. So I always like would do surgeries and then I would fly in like scrubs. I would like change into a clean pair of scrubs and get on a flight. And I was kind of flying over 7 states. And I went to meet with him. And normally I showed up looking terrible, but I was like, I'm very interested in this.
This guy was kind of funny on the phone.
This explicit man.
I got my like pencil skirt and like my cute business top. And I like showed up looking cute. I had no idea how old he was. He could have been married with kids for all I knew. I knew nothing about this person. And I walked into his office and I was like, well, hello.
And it was love at first sight. Boom.
Yes. And then we bonded over 50
Picture like Joey, like, how you doing? Did you do that when she walked in?
Well, you know, it wasn't exactly like the Me Too movement was not exactly out then, but like it was also work. I didn't want to be like politically incorrect. She flew in, like definitely into her right away. And then, you know, but there was still like this work barrier that you couldn't. I didn't want to like hey, great, first sales call. And then you got brought up on sexual harassment charges with the rep we brought in. Like, would have been a great first impression. So, you know, I had to sit back a little bit.
So we were like work friends for a while. And then I ended up taking over the St. Louis territory for what I sold. And he like helped me pick out my apartment. And yeah. And then one of my work friends was like, you're talking about this guy an awful lot. I was like, well, we work together. But so no, things escalated quickly.
I love it. So then when did you end up getting married?
A year and a half, 2 years later.
No, like a year later. It was fast.
Yeah. I love it.
It's so funny how our brains work different. My next question was going to be like, so when did you guys decide to go into business? But
okay, well, that was the next question.
The much more emotional question was
actually, so when it came to real estate, when we were on like the wedding circuit and we were bouncing back and forth from St. Louis to Kansas City.
Because you know, like you're officially dating once you're going to weddings with everybody and
right?
whatnot.
Yeah. So I'd be like a bridesmaid in a wedding. And I'm like, you've got to go to this wedding, but you also have to fend for yourself because I'm in the wedding. So like, you're going to have to make friends quickly. So that was really when I was like, I really like this guy. Like, he's not needy. He's chatting it up with people. Like, he's making friends. We're good. Like,
he's just everybody's best friend as soon as he took over the wedding.
Yeah.
Did he gave a speech probably at each one?
Yes. Yeah. He was the best man in a couple weddings. But on the way back, we were driving back from, I think, Caden's wedding. And he was like,
so it's Kansas City to St. Louis. We had 4 hours of nothing to do.
Yeah. So we're both doing well in sales. And he's like, can we listen to this audiobook? And I was like, I don't feel good. We've been out all night. Like, do I really need to listen to an audiobook on the way from Kansas City to St. Louis?
Let's see if can you guys guess what audiobook it could have
What
been?
was it?
Extreme Ownership.
Nah, Extreme Ownership wasn't out yet.
It's purple.
Oh, Rich Dad Poor Dad.
Yeah, it was Rich Dad Poor Dad.
Nice.
The girl I was dating before Susie, I was like, hey, I'm going to buy a bunch of rentals. I'm going to start my own business. I'm going to be independently wealthy very quickly. And she's like, you can't do that. And I'm like, huh? I was like, I don't know if this is going to work. And so listening to Rich Dad Poor Dad was like the test.
So we're listening
this
to
is
Rich
dating
Dad, Poor
criteria.
Dad.
Will you buckle while you listen to this book?
Yes.
But I mean, I
And
think it is such
at least don't discourage the activity.
Right.
Yeah. So we listened to it and he's like, what do you think? And I was like, okay. And he's like, well, like, how do you feel about investing in real estate? And I was like, great. I was like, we don't have anything else to spend money on. Like, might as well. And he was like, okay, well, then we're going to start doing that. And I was like, cool.
And you guys are just dating at this point.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, and at this point, I think we were talking about getting married.
Yeah. And so we've been married for 15 years now, but that I would say is a pattern. I'll come up with an idea and she'll be like, okay, cool. And at a minimum, she won't discourage it. And so I'm sure you guys are going to ask, like, how'd you start the business? It was kind of a series of conversations like that.
I think that's super important. We've talked about that before of like, okay, shoot, I may not want to participate in this immediately, but I'm certainly not going to discourage it. Like that's been the similar pattern with Zach and I. Zach's one of the ideas, and I'm the one like, okay, let me just collect my thoughts on this idea and we'll figure out a way to do it. Right.
And there has been 2 or 3 business ideas where she was like, hell no. And I went along with it anyway, and she was right.
Okay.
I
he's
hate
on
it,
record.
That seems
I
to be a
always
pattern.
am.
He's on the record.
I
Yes.
know.
I think this is really interesting because Jimmy, your background was military before the sales job, right?
Yeah.
And so you've lived a few lives, it seems like.
A little bit, yeah.
Susie, are you the same? Were you the same way? Like, what were you doing before that sales job, or was that kind of your first?
I'm
First-
so
first
glad you
life.
asked. I was a bartender.
Okay.
I went in college. I was studying. I thought I wanted to go to med school. And so I was studying biology, political science, and Spanish. I ended up really preferring political science. So I started to doubt. I'm like, is this really what I want to do? And then I found out one of my best friends, her brother worked for this company. And she's like, you can like get into the operating room selling the stuff that the surgeons use. I was like, this sounds great. I was like, done. And like, I loved surgery. And I did all kinds of, so that was super fun. But it was funny. In my interviews at Stryker, they were like, I'm sorry, what do you do for a living? And I was like, I'm a bartender. They're like,
I'm really good with people.
they were like, how did you get to this interview stage? I'm like, beats me. I'm like, I guess I can sell. I don't know. But yeah, so I was living in Kansas City. And that was my first job out of college.
That's like what a break, honestly, to be able to get into that kind of. Stryker's an amazing company, and then to get right into the OR selling, that's a huge break.
You can sell.
They use a Gallup, like the interview system is it's pretty systematized, and I think I just like bounced through all the interviews. So
Yeah, I love it.
I
love it.
They have a lot of like, he's like the perfect Stryker person. Like his personality, they go for like college athletes, and I'm like Susie bartender, just mosey.
I mean, ortho is kind of that way, like kind of jock guys, right? Like just hammering stuff in the OR.
Yeah, they're like carpenters. It's amazing.
It's I think the grossest surgery is ortho. No
They
offense
are.
to all the orthos, but I'll take heart surgery any day over ortho surgery.
Watching
I
a
don't
nail
know.
get
The
driven
stress of
down a
those.
leg.
Yeah, no. Ugh. But okay, all right. So fast forward, you guys listened to the book, Rich Dad Poor Dad. I feel like such a classic game changer for people like getting into real estate. How did you organize getting your first deals together and start working together?
So I had originally read Rich Dad Poor Dad when I was in Iraq in like 2005. And I would take all my money and send it back to my mother and brother to go buy houses in St. Louis. So I left the army with like 5 or 6 houses.
Oh wow, okay.
Beautiful.
I
And
didn't know
so then it was always like family talk when she'd be around at the house that, we were talking real estate, talking deals, all that type of stuff. And then, so we got married. We met in 2009, got married 2010. Maria came 2010. Bubba came 2012, like January 2012. Tommy 2014.
Mm-hmm.
Johnny 2015.
Yeah.
So we took a little bit of a buying pause during making the babies. And then in 2016, like I got the itch again to start buying. And
So you're still working your W-2 jobs now, though.
When Maria was born, she quit Stryker and started a photography business.
Okay.
A natural transition.
Yeah. But what we would do, we would run all of our household expenses that would qualify as business expenses through her business to keep our taxes low so that we could invest more.
I love it.
So that was the big conversation when I left Stryker was this is putting us in this tax bracket. I was still I was covering 2 states at the time. So I was leaving at 4 a.m. and coming home really late. So like I'd leave to be somewhere for a 7:30 surgery, and then I'd usually go out to dinner or something with the surgeon and come home at like 9. So I was like, I don't know that there's a daycare.
Well, we did the math, and after taxes and daycare, we'd keep like 15% of her income. And we're like, this is stupid. We kept 100% of her income with her own business, and she kept us in a lower tax bracket.
Yes, that's nobody wants to work healthcare hours except healthcare workers, right? Like it's not compatible with anything else.
No.
Yeah. And and the other option was if I wanted to stay local, I would have had to have switched divisions and work like under him.
That would not have gone well.
How was that going to go?
Was that a deal breaker?
I was like, I cannot be in a situation where like I'm up all night with the baby and you roll over and you're like, you need to go set up some trays at this hospital. Like, because I'd be his
lower
little
level
minion.
Yeah, lower level person. But initially, this was a bad idea that I had, but she shut it down. I was like, cool, we'll keep all the commissions inside the family instead of me having to pay a lower level rep and split commissions. But luckily, she hammered that was a horrible idea.
I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm like, I could work together with you, but I don't know that I could work
Report
in that
to you.
capacity. I don't think it'd be good for either of us.
Discernment and instincts are very good there. So it sounds like you had a little bit of like the entrepreneurial kind of spirit on your own. Did the idea of starting like the photography company, was that on your own or was?
It was. I honestly, we were like, I mean, I'd taken like some photography classes in high school, but nothing to note. And we were sitting there one day and I was just thinking, I was like, what could I do from home that had flexible hours that I could raise a family and do at home? And one day I was like, I looked at him, I was like, and to his credit, I was like, I think I'm going to start a photography business. And he looked at me and he goes, don't you need a camera? And I was like, details. I was like,
Yeah.
I can figure it out. I was like, I think that's what I'm going to do. So that's what I started doing when Maria was born in December of 2010. I bought a camera in 2010 and closed out the year. And then in January, I started photography. And then I did that for like 9 years or so. So I started doing like families, newborns. And then I started doing weddings. And I hired somebody to do my families and newborns. So we did that for a while until I left that. Then the kids started playing sports. And that was taking over my weekends. And then at that time, Jimmy was really taking off. And he needed help with the real estate. So then I kind of switched over and started working with him to grow.
Yeah, I mean, there's a better version of that story. So I figured out how to raise private money. I partnered up with a wholesaler guy, and we bought 60 houses in 2015. And so at this point, I'm like working at Stryker. I'm spending half the time at the real estate office. My boss was like, you care more about your rentals than you do this job. And I was like, yeah. Like, I didn't disagree. So
you bought 60 houses. Just to clarify, you bought 60 houses while you were working your W-2.
Yeah, I mean, I'm like an unguided missile when I want to go do something.
That's amazing.
Because I could use the Stryker skills of selling to raise private money. And then we were just doing burr. And the best part, so Johnny's born. This is where I knew I would always love my wife. Johnny's born. I didn't go to surgery that day. I sent the underrep in, and the doc was not the nicest guy. And the kid messed up. And so I got this newborn in my arms. I got this doctor yelling me in the other ear, and I'm just like defeated. I put the phone down, and Susie's like, she hasn't left the hospital yet with the baby, right? Susie's like, you know what? You should just quit. And I'm like, dude, we just had our 4th kid. Like, wow. I don't know if this is the appropriate time to be leaving my current profession. And so it was kept buying houses. I think we got up to 90. And then finally I was like, all right, cool, we'll pull the ripcord.
What made you feel comfortable with pulling the ripcord then?
I think I had a huge blowout with my current manager. So I didn't feel comfortable, but I felt like I had enough of a beachhead. And I was like, man, if I gave this if I gave this my full attention, what could I do with it? And then luckily I had my supportive wife being like, 6 months, not 9 months earlier, being like, you should just quit.
Wow.
Well, and I felt like I was given the opportunity to leave, and he was supportive of that. So I just wanted, I didn't feel right telling him he had to stay and stick it out, even though I knew that wasn't his passion. Like real estate, he really, really enjoyed it. He was excited finding deals, and
Yeah.
so I boxed up all of his scrubs and in a Pampers box, and I put a sign on it in Sharpie that said, "In case of emergency only." So I was like, I said, give it 6 months and you can either go back to this company. There was other orthopedic companies that would have been happy to have him. So I was like, we'll just give it 6 months. And if you decide it's a terrible idea, you can always go back.
I love that.
And we never did.
I love
Nice.
it. I love Susie that you said that first that you'll figure it out, because for people listening to this and people thinking about either growing the business they currently have or starting their dream, I feel we overcomplicate it and we think we need to have all the things before we get started. Like, well, let me buy the shoes first and the outfit before I join the gym and start working out, instead of like just going for a walk, right? I think people do the same thing with business, and I think they have to have all this knowledge and all this experience to even begin. And so I love that you were like, I'll figure it out, right? I think that's so great. And Jimmy, on your side, I relate to keeping the W-2 job and like trying to have some margin, and then trying to struggling with when to leave and that like nest egg.
I mean, hindsight 2020, I should have muscled through another 18 months.
Why?
Like you said,
So I could have remained bankable. And like I was making a couple $100,000 and not working that hard, but there was like, I think I had some Instagram envy deep down, being like, oh, I'm only cool if I own my own business. And then it's, I was in a really precarious situation if it wasn't for CG. So right when I got to like 100 units that were poorly managed, no systems, no processes, no accounting, no nothing, luckily CG came into my life. And so I thought it was awesome. I had 100 rentals, and Jason Medley just terrifies me, and Scott Myers, and Joe from Portland. Like, they were like, well, what about this system? What about this process? What about this much cash flow? What about how much this reserve? And I'm like, I don't have any of that. And I left my first CG terrified, being like, I got 4 kids, I'm $5 million in debt, I have no active income anymore. And, Jason explained to me, you got passive income with rentals, but you got to have active income. And so then I had to start wholesaling and flipping to get that active income. So if I had had another 18 months of active income, I could have been in a better position. But hindsight's always 20/20, yada, yada, yada.
So you were in the business at the time that you all joined CG. Susie, were you running operations then, or where were you in that
This
journey?
is kind of a funny story. So I had a business partner who was really just a wholesaler, and he met a girl probably 6 months into CG. He met a girl and he's like, hey, I'm moving to California. But I'm like, but wait a minute, I'm the money guy and you're the operations guy. And he's like, yeah, I know, I'm going to do it remotely. I was like, okay, we'll try it. And it was an absolute disaster. So then we had a business divorce. And at this point, this was like rock bottom, like $5 million in debt, don't know operations. He found all the houses. I didn't know how to acquire houses. I just could find the money.
Right.
And Susie comes in. I was like, and then I had borrowed $50,000 from her dad. And if I couldn't have repaid that, like, I was like terrified. I was like, we're going to go broke. I'm owe your dad $50,000. He's going to think I'm a horrible son-in-law. And Susie's like, settle down. Like, go figure out how to do a deal and I will run operations. And so she rolls in and just starts firing people. It was amazing.
oh man,
It's not that severe. I came for a meeting, and he was like, just come to this meeting, and see what you think. And I was
Like
like,
the CG meeting?
No,
it
like
was
a Tuesday weekly meeting.
like
a
just a
company meeting, okay.
weekly team meeting. And I'm sitting there and I was like, I'm just going to listen. I'm not going to say anything. I'm just going to listen and be a fly on the wall. And I'm hearing these things and I'm like, what is happening? I was like, are these people supposed to have Jimmy's back? And I was like, nope. I had my little rolly chair and I like rolled out to like the finance person and I go,
You're done.
I need a list of every expense for the last 3 months now. And they were like, oh God. So I get this printout and I'm like, what is this? What is this? What is, and I'm just like tearing everything apart. And then
love it.
And then I start looking into like everything. It was like a thread. And I'm like,
here's a funny story of the worst example she found. So we started turnkeying at that point, and I had 100 rentals, so we had to manage property. So we started managing property for other people.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to move on to the next deal so much that regardless if the tenant paid their rent or not, I would pay the turnkey owner their rent.
Oh my gosh.
So,
Wow.
I mean, you guys, I went into the bank and I was like, this is strange. I was like, why are all these automatic payments set up? And I'm looking at it and I'm like, that is exactly the rent minus 10%. I was like, what? This is so strange. I was like, how could it possibly be an automatic payment when we don't know if the tenant paid the full amount of rent or whether or not there were any expenses or like maintenance calls or anything?
Right.
So
that was a great catch.
that was a fun chat. So then I was like, okay, now we have to really build out all the systems. Then we had to start a property, like do everything that comes along with starting a property management company.
All those details.
So like I'm really good at selling, but I don't really get into the details if I could fulfill on the sale. So Susie helped a lot with that.
So he was just like going and I was just chasing behind him, like fixing things. So he definitely has all the vision and everything for what he wanted to do and was very creative about how to get deals, how to implement stuff. And I was just streamlining.
Okay. Real talk, because I was in the same position. Zach was the CEO. I was the COO at Better Path. And I felt like I was also a little bit of like the organizer, which I don't know if you feel the same way. Like I kind of like that. Like I like things to be in order. And so I find that to be rewarding. But then also boundaries were hard, right? How did you guys deal with that?
Like that's coming to my mind is that night where you're like trying to figure out rent manager and just bawling on the couch.
And I was thinking about the process.
And he's like, I bought another house.
I'm thinking about the Process Street day when you were chasing me around.
Oh, this is kind of a funny story too. So we go to CG and they're like, Jimmy, this is what a process is. If you're going to do something in a repeatable manner, you can make a process. And so
he gets all excited. He's like, this is great.
And so I'm like a dog to a bone. Once I commit to doing something, I'm going to do it. Even though I hate process, I hate all that. But we came home for CG, and I think the next 10 days, I just followed her around with my computer. And then what do you do? And then what do you do?
I know. Like,
and then what do you do?
He was like, when we onboard, a buyer, when we onboard a lender, like, what do you do? I'm like, I onboard them. And he's like, well, how? What do you say? What do you do? Like, what do you enter into the system? I'm like, oh my gosh. So after him harassing me for a couple weeks, we built out like our preliminary processes, which was...
I mean, and then from my point of view, it might have been different from your point of view, but I was so grateful that she was cleaning up all these messes that a natural boundary kind of formed that I wasn't going to push on her because I was just like, I was so grateful that somebody was cleaning this stuff up and watching my back.
No, well, and like from my perspective, it's like nobody is going to care more about your business than your spouse. And it's like, I wanted to make sure that at the end of the day, like he felt like somebody had his back. And I knew he had mine. So it was just this kind of, it was this like, you're a team at home, and then it kind of extended into work. It did become difficult, like when we'd go out to eat, to not talk about work all the time. That's like, we had to sit down to a meal and be like, okay, we're not going to talk about work. And we'd be silent for like 1 minute. I'm like, it is raining outside. Like, I didn't even know what to say sometimes, but it got
I was going to say, if it was only 1 minute, you guys are doing good. I feel like we're like 5 plus.
Yeah.
It's
We're not
hard,
allowed to
but,
talk
like-
about the kids or work. You're like, okay, what do we do?
And now we have to do that pause for our children's athletics.
Yeah,
at
now
least
it's
for me.
now it's about kids sporting activity. I'm like, we cannot let this consume our minds.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I mean, you guys know it's
Yeah. Do you guys have something set in place to be like, all right, a date night or a habit that you stick to that to force that boundary in?
I'm so glad you asked because we tried. We've been trying to go to lunch. And yesterday we were going to lunch at this cute place, Katie's Pizza, and they have really good salads. And we literally pull into the parking lot. And what happened?
I was like, oh man, I forgot to look at my calendar today. I got a sales call right now with an investor.
Oh, no.
So we're in the parking lot and he starts a Zoom and he's like, oh, I'm sorry, I'll be at my desk in a few minutes. And he's like, I'm so sorry. And I was like, hey. I'm
So
like,
we
hey,
have-
it's fine.
Intended well to have weekly date nights, but I would say if there's 52 weeks in a year or 25,
Maybe.
we'll get there.
That's pretty good.
Doing pretty good.
Yeah.
Because the
Susie's
kids are
not
still
a-
young and busy, right?
Yeah, and Susie's not a huge fan of like scheduling things. You're as bad as me on that.
Yeah, we do very well on last minute. Like we fly by the seat of our pants. And it depends because like with the kids' schedules, it's like everything's very adaptable.
I think being spontaneous is very helpful. Being able to be like, oh, we have a moment. Like, let's just go do something now. Sometimes I think it's harder to block off like 4 hours to
Yeah.
go do something with the kids and with the businesses. You know, it's almost harder to schedule.
I know. And sometimes it's just like, just the other day, like we took the dog on a walk. Like it doesn't need to be like a staycation at a hotel. Like it doesn't need to be anything big. It's just trying to find little windows of being able to hang out together where you're not talking about work and it's not consuming your life.
I think that's so important, right? I think I would much rather have a small amount of time and have it be like intentionally focused than like block off 4 hours and be distracted and not really together.
Yeah. I
Together,
agree.
but not together.
There's so much to juggle as a couple for the household and the kids. And you guys have 4 kids, you said, right?
Mm-hmm.
We have 3 and our kids are all the same ages, which is so I know personally there's how crazy it is right now with sports and taxiing kids around, and our oldest just got her driver's license, so that helps a little bit, but there's so much whirlwind at home and then there's so much whirlwind in the business. And we have Better Path Homes and Zach's running that, and then I'm running the Left Main side, and there's a crossover and like consulting for each other, and I just feel like there's all this whirlwind that's going on, and it takes some intention to manage it, like, and separate it from each other. How do you guys manage and separate these two like lives essentially?
Not
this-
well.
yeah.
Right?
At this point, I'm running the home more. Like we've hired.
What was it? A couple years ago?
Yeah.
Susie kind of came to me. She's like, I'm not as into this as you are.
Like this has always been his passion and I love it.
Yeah.
And I was supportive, and when we needed to start the property management company, I leaned into that. When we needed to fix make readies, I leaned into that. When we needed to start a fund, he's like, I've got too much stuff going on. You need to start a fund. And I'm like, okay. So, it's like I did that as long as we needed to, but then we hired an amazing team. We got better at hiring, and now there are people on our team that have his back. And I know that.
You have
So-
a great team, Jimmy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're the
I
best.
mean, you know them. So
Yeah.
I'm like, okay. Like after a lot of thought, I'm like, I feel like I can step into like helping the kids more. And, because there was a while when we had an office that we'd go to every day that like we had somebody picking the kids up from school. And I was like, I'd like to, if I can, like I'd like to start doing this stuff. So it's kind of after COVID, we started pivoting to like, okay, we're working from home now. And I like it. So now he's really running the show, and I kind of come on an as-is basis. And it is nice that I helped with all of it, because now, I mean, we talk about it every day.
Yeah.
Yeah, you
And
understand it.
Susie's role is still to make sure I'm thinking correctly.
Keep them in line.
I feel like that's always our role.
That COVID time was a big transition point for us as well. I remember, the running, statement that I have is in 2019. I remember I set it as a goal for 2020 to try to work from home like one day a week. I felt like we were going into the office every day, and I struggled not only to pick the kids up. I struggled to try to get home in time for bed. Like, can I at least get home before they fall asleep? And after running that for the whole year, I was like, all right, 2020, I'm making the goal. I'm going to work from home at least one day a week. And then it's like a joke now of, you work from home. It was a point like, ripcord, can I get out of this house to work? Hold on. We got 4 Zoom calls going on in a tiny little opening zone. It was not the working from home experience I expected.
Yeah. Yeah. The working from home was a little tricky during COVID with all of the kids home too.
Yeah, we had
It's
to
school
upgrade our
Zooms
internet
going
plan.
on.
Yeah, that was wild.
Yeah.
What do you guys feel is what do people underestimate the most in terms of spouses working together? You had considered it for way back in the sales position, right? Like, could I go work underneath Jimmy and that's not going to work? What do you think people underestimate about working together as spouses? For those that are thinking about maybe getting started.
I feel like I'm a contrarian because I loved it.
Yeah.
I remember fighting about things we'll do with the kids. I remember fighting about certain things in our relationship. But my memory, and I can have biased memories and, shiny memories, but I don't remember a business policy that we ever went to war about. Plenty of other things we've gone to war about in our relationship. But I personally enjoyed it. It was cool. I get more time to hang out with Susie. We get to build something together. So I find that I'm kind of a contrarian on this subject. I always loved working with my spouse.
Yeah.
Yeah. We never really disagreed in meetings, and when we'd have weekly L10s. We pretty much agreed on most everything when it came to work. And he really, if I wanted to run with something, he'd let me run with it. It was quite a symbiotic relationship. The only thing that we ever butt heads about is at home, really. I think I'm always interested in sometimes I'll have friends I'm like, oh, what does your husband do for work? And they're like, oh, he generally does this. I don't know. They don't, and there's a very separate space for that, which I think really works for some people. But he wants to talk a lot. And even still, he'll be brushing his teeth and getting into bed. I'm like, don't do it. He's like, just one more thing. Just one more thing. And he'll do it. I'm like, ugh. I just want to read a book. So, but it's good for him because he has to talk things over and go through multiple scenarios. And I think he'd be bursting at the seams if he didn't have anybody to talk to.
Yeah, that'd be rough.
I think that's a core tenet of a relationship that you need to have in order to be happy in the working environment. And I'm hearing you guys be super flexible and open to each other's ideas and willing to compromise and work together. I think you have to have traits like that. Does that feel right? Do you feel like you guys are just really flexible and open to each other? Or what characteristics of your relationship do you think that allows you to work so well together?
Honestly, I keep going back to the Colby. Have you guys taken the Colby test?
Forever ago. I don't know it off the top of my head, though.
It's the 4 traits, and one of them is what's the third one? What's it called?
Quick start?
Yeah. Quick start and then fact finder. Is that the other one?
Yeah, fact finder, quick start, implementer, and I forget the fourth one.
So we both took it, and it's a 1 to 10. Quick start, how quickly are you to jump into something with little to no information whatsoever? Jimmy, to nobody's surprise, is a 10. Like,
Yeah.
he needs to have like no information whatsoever. Zach's probably a 10 too. Like no information to do something. A 10 is very high and unusual. I think I was a 7 quick start. So like I need a little more information, but like we're just personality traits. We're just close enough to where I will go along with it. I think it really is just like how you're wired and like to be compatible in that way.
I mean, for me, I am just so grateful that I can get and go run. I can be a quick start, and I can like, I'm like a dog chasing cars. So like I always
Which
came to the
sometimes needs a leash, by the way. Sometimes the dog chasing the car does
The
need a leash.
retractable. Maybe the retractable leash. Not the standard leash.
But like I
He
was
gets a
always so
long leash.
grateful that she would do this stuff. And so it's like I think that lessened conflict
Yeah.
a lot. I was like, thank God she's here watching my back.
Yeah. Which I think just like getting into marriage in general, to have a supportive spouse, I think is so critical to the success of anything that you do and success of the marriage. You know, and like you guys have said, it doesn't have to be no holds barred, right? Like you could have boundaries, you could have reason and discernment and conversations about things, but to know that you have, because there's risk to everything, right? I mean, nothing's 100%. You could go take a new W-2 job and get fired the next day, you know? And so to be able to do something and know that you have the support of the most important person on the planet to you, I think is critical. I love to see that with you guys.
Yeah, I think you have to be very open-minded and have to be able to just figure it out together, you know? And you know, I relate a lot to that because I think Zach and I met super young. I was 19 when we met. He was 22. We didn't know anything, but I'm like, I think I can figure it out with this guy. I think he can figure it out. I would trust him. You know, like, I don't know, we're going to figure it out and it's going to be fine. And I think that is probably the most valuable skill to develop in a relationship, but also in business too, is just that you can figure it out together, you know?
Yeah. And it's like there's no playbook for starting much of anything, especially with you, like, you know, launching a business that's new and unique, and you don't really have anybody to look to specifically to figure stuff out. But you can find, like, the Collective Genius has been amazing, but just to find other like-minded individuals who can help motivate you to do better. Because I think a lot of what business is, it's not that we had some incredible aptitude for, you know, it's like, I don't think Jimmy was like born to be a real estate investor. He just sort of found something that he enjoyed, and you figure it out. And a lot of it is just doing stuff with integrity, being transparent, and being honest with people. And you're going to make mistakes, but you learn from every one that you make, and you carry on and you get better.
Yeah. Jimmy, interested to hear, like, from the background as a ranger, right? You a ranger?
Yeah.
I mean, that's amazing. Like, that background, what were you able to bring in from there that was able to, like, help with the business? Like, you're starting off these new ventures. Was there habits that you were able to pull that directly helped you starting the business?
I mean, I would say Susie would say I am a very regimented person. Like, I mean, I always wake up, always work out, no matter what. Like, so daily disciplines, like, very easy. And then what I'm most grateful for my time in the service is, I would call it like having an extra gear. Like, mentally, I'm like, man, this sucks, and I don't want to do this anymore. And then my interior monologue will be like, no, it doesn't. You're not getting shot at. You're getting fed. Like, you've done much worse things than this. Like, come on, you can do this another day. And so I think that's always kind of been an extra advantage for me.
It made me think about it. Stephanie's talking about some of our background from medicine, that, you know, people don't work the same hours. We had certain things from our past that was like backfired when we tried to implement them kind of into the business. Like, what do you mean acquisitions guy doesn't want to take a call at 2 a.m.? Like, just like something needs to get done at 2 a.m., you just do it, right? So we had certain things with backfires. We tried to
I
implement.
don't know if it
them
was
into
2 a.m., but it was more like weekends. Like, I don't know, it's
I
set.
know.
So where did you guys land on that? I've kind of landed that you only can expect that of somebody who has equity.
Yeah, I mean, so now we landed on the idea of like actual business hours and setting up, our VAs will work and they'll cover from 8 to 8, normal business hours expectations. I think our sales guys are, more, if you expect somebody that's commission based, right? They know that like, all right, there's money on the other side of that phone. So for the most part, they are responsive to things up until 9, 10 o'clock if they need to be, but not necessarily on new inbound stuff, right? We have systems and processes set up with lead managers, now with some of the AI support. Like if by chance we miss it or after hours, it's picked up by, wonderful Sarah or Betty or whichever AI agent is working that day to cover that.
And rotating weekends, I think that's something that we learned is like, what is an unreasonable work schedule? And until we were not in that work schedule, I didn't realize how unreasonable it was to just always be on, right? All the time.
Well, it's interesting with some of these commission people, like, honestly, this is a fight that I've had with them for the last 3 months. Like, because I want them to do rotating weekends and nobody wants to do rotating weekends. It's like, I just want them. Like, you are going to burn out.
I mean, Stryker was amazing at getting people to do things. Like, hip surgery on Christmas Eve. Oh, cool. Wait, I get a commission? I'll be there. Okay, cool.
Yeah, I mean, well, we were both full commission, and I don't know. And I mean, I was drinking a lot of Red Bull at the time.
And a kid coming every 15 months. Like, I was motivated.
Right?
Yeah, so it is interesting when you're building out a team to like figure out what is reasonable.
Right.
That was fun.
Yeah.
I feel like I've had to have that gut check person in my life. Like, wait, is this normal? Is this okay to think this way? And they'll be like, yeah, no, that's okay. Or like, no, that's completely abnormal. No,
you're crazy.
Okay. Yeah, you need a gut check. I think, especially in these kind of extreme environments, and medicine has a way of doing that too. Like somebody needs you, like they're getting a new hip, they're getting surgery, and it's Christmas Eve, it's Christmas Day, whatever it is. But like, there's a patient that needs you, and you're like, oh my gosh, yes, I have to go, right?
Yeah.
Regardless of where you are in that, contributing to that operation, everyone feels that like critical need, and I think it was really hard to start putting together like a more stable type of life where not everything was critical life or death, like have to do something anymore, and like trying to put a plan together and like have some peace in my life, I don't know if you guys felt that same way.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, if Jimmy has a day that's not crazy, he's like, he doesn't know what to do.
Find something.
What do you do? What do you do? Do you just like go chase cars, or do you think about a new business idea, or what do you do?
Go work out.
It's good. Freud would like that. That's a healthy way.
Yeah. And then right now, children's athletics, like, this is a completely unrelated topic, but like when we have a sport court in our backyard and when the kids are like, hey dad, will you go shoot baskets with me? I was like, yeah. Uh-huh. Like I get so excited.
Where like, I'm more chill. Like I can chill out a little bit, but he has a hard time. Like, I don't think retirement is ever even an option for him.
No.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be any fun.
Yeah, I don't know that would be healthy, right?
Yeah.
I feel the same way about me too, though, even though Zach's kind of the crazy one in this relationship.
Oh, debatable.
I don't know that I could retire. I feel like it's, there, like you said, Susie, I mean, like you can start a photography company, and like there's all kinds of cool things that we can do out there in the world that you don't necessarily have to do nothing. I don't know how that's healthy, but maybe we'll feel differently when we have grandkids.
I don't know, doing something and creating value in through the world. Like I think it's kind of like at the heart of all of us on this podcast now, which we should give you guys an opportunity to talk about some of the value that you bring out and create to people. I started out, my interest in real estate was really just a retirement plan, right? With the idea of like, we were just going to buy houses to retire, maybe put a kid through college and pay for some weddings. That was kind of my original vision, and just continue to work the W-2. And, we have our story as to how it took off into this, but I really love what you do and the idea of like providing turnkey, because somehow I didn't fall into that. We all have our own paths, but nobody pushed me into Jimmy's path where I could have learned how to just do what I wanted to darn well do, keeping my W-2. And so I love that you're providing that for people, that they can continue to work their W-2s. I mean, you've lived it by an example, buying 60 houses while you're still working your W-2 in a year. So they don't have to quit their job, take on some of this other additional, chaos and overhead, but still pursue their dreams. And I want to give you guys a chance to kind of talk about what you're providing for people out there and how they can get in touch with you.
Sure. I mean, really, I got into real estate as a tax revolt. As my income continued to increase with Stryker, not as much was hitting my pocket, and that really disturbed me. And like, I got out of the Army in like 2008, so the whole economy had collapsed. So I was like, why is this economy collapsing? And so that led me to learn about the business cycle. It helped me learn about taxation. And as I went down like this libertarian economic rabbit hole, I was like, the way out is real estate. Like, you got to use leverage. You got to use somebody else's money. You got to buy hard assets. And as the government prints in more and more money, it will cause inflation, which will then cause your assets to appreciate. And you will disproportionately make money if you own assets. And it's like, okay, cool. Well, I have a job. How do I find out own assets? Well, you had to find somebody to do the work for you. And then I have always kind of been sympathetic because I saw the way the doctors worked and I saw how they worried about retirement. So I knew there was this need here. And so I've always loved, for high income earners, being able to be their real estate guy. That, hey, you go to work, you do what you're great at. I'm going to take this tried and true system that has been the greatest wealth producer in this country, real estate, and I'm going to do all the work for you so that you can truly be an investor and that you can be great at what you're great at, but then not get hosed by the tax man. And so at the end of the day, that's kind of why we do all this real estate for people.
Yeah, you get a lot of opt-ins, I'm sure. Especially from the surgeons, right? Like, just know how to work really hard, but don't know how to invest.
Yeah, and then I have an arrogant, probably biased belief that everybody wants to be in real estate. They just don't have the time to do it. So it's just like, okay, cool, I'll create the time for you.
And so if somebody wants to reach out to you and say, hey, Jimmy, give me a property, how do they do that?
I would just DM me on Instagram at Jimmy Vreeland, V as in Victor, REELAND, or jimmyvreeland.com.
I love it. All St. Louis, right? That's where all your assets are?
St. Louis, Little Rock, and Wichita.
That's cool. Okay, so just kind of in closing and to wrap, what's the best advice you've ever gotten for real estate and or working together?
That's a good one. What do you think?
I mean, I think what you said earlier, like, you're going to make mistakes. You're going to fall down. Like, don't make a mistake a failure. Make it tuition. So it's like, okay, cool. I messed up. I got better. I'm not going to do it again. And this is just part of the learning curve. So I guess, technically that's from Ray Dalio's principles. Like, have big, audacious goals, learn, fail, learn principles, get bigger and bigger, audacious goals.
I love it. What about you, Susie?
Do what you do it well, and give back to the community. I will say a quick thing on our dating and how we met. He had a spreadsheet that he was working on one day, and we were like still in like partying mode, and he had a line item for a 10% tithe. Like, he was like tithing to the church. And I was like, what? And I was like, what do you mean? Like, I don't know. I was more interested in like going shopping or like going out with my friends or doing a bachelorette party. And his priorities were already in line before we were married. So it's like, I'm happy for us to do what we do and for him to work as hard as he does, if it means that we're constantly giving back to, different local organizations. And, if we have a team member in need, whatever it is, it makes it all worth it.
I love that. I think that's so important not to lose sight of that, and that's what people want to be a part of. No one wants to work on your team just to fill your pockets. They want to work on your team because the team does something impactful and gives back, and that they can then give back personally too,
Yeah.
I think that's so important not to lose that focus. So I have this theory about women entrepreneurs and how they cope and what kind of books they read. And I'm just curious if you've gotten into the fairy series.
Oh no. What is this the wing thing?
Yes. The fourth wing and
oh my gosh. Okay, so I tried, and are you reading these?
So Annie Yatch was one who told me about this.
Yes.
Oh my God, a couple of years ago. And I was like, I'm in this reading slump. All I do is read it. All I read is like nonfiction and like leadership, which is all fantastic. But I was like, I used to read all the time, and now I just don't know what to read anymore. And she's like, you need to read Fourth Wing and A Court of Thorns and Roses. I was like, okay. And I just devoured all these books. And then I started asking other women, like, what are you reading? And all of them are reading these books. And I'm like, this is
everybody's
something.
reading. So I did read, I think, the first 2 of those books, and I tried. I'm like, it's just not my thing. I like historical fiction. Specifically, I like World War II historical fiction. And I think a lot of it is because my dad was a political science professor. I grew up with him talking about Winston Churchill, and I enjoy that kind of stuff. But I tried, and they were fun to get through. But no, I like The Nightingale, Under the Scarlet Sky. I like more.
Did you read The Women?
Yes. Read The Women. That was
a great
Vietnam one. Yeah.
Yep.
So those, I'll read those books. Yeah, I like Kristen Hanna. But yeah, so he's always, what was the most recent one you had? The history of the
Patriots history of the United States.
Jimmy's always goes to bed listening to something, and he does Patriots history, and then he'll do presidential.
Ooh, that Churchill book was good.
Biographies. I need a little fun in a biography. So I do historical fiction.
I like it too. I think it's important to have I don't know, I really like reading, and I think it's good to be away from a screen. I think that's really helped me cope a little bit. And I don't just read this fairy smut, just for those.
Are you telling me those other books?
You have to do something else.
She said smut.
And I have also gotten into needle pointing and mahjong most recently.
Oh, I want to learn how to play. Do you have a neighborhood group that does that?
Mahjong set at our daughter's high school auction. You can come over, or I'll bring it to CG.
Oh, I would love to learn how to play. That looks fun and it seems really satisfying with the clicks and the organizing. I feel like I'd like it.
Yeah. I'm in. Yeah. We'll do it. We'll do a force of the
Girls
4
group.
of us.
There we go.
There you go.
Next in-person date, we'll do mahjong.
Yay! Are you going to CG next week?
I am.
Jimmy is.
Well, what
I am
about
not.
Susie?
I am not.
All right, I'll take one. I'll take one out of the 2.
I
But
did-
Susie,
maybe
we
the
need to
next
have an in-person. Yeah, we need to have an
Susie,
in-person.
somebody's got to
event.
hold it down, right? Somebody's got to hold it down.
I mean, the kids' sports, we would have to call in so many favors to go away for 3 days.
It's getting
I know.
better.
Yeah, high school's helping.
It's getting better.
Yeah,
So we'll see.
Team
But
travel
soon.
helps.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, I loved having you guys on. This was really fun to get to know you both a little bit more personally, and hear your story. And I think there's so many parallels, and it's just so awesome that you came on to share it. And I hope the folks that are listening to this got a lot of gold nuggets out of it. I did. I learned a lot. That was awesome.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys for having us. And then I just have to do a quick plug to the audience. Left Main is the best. You guys just got done putting my drip sequences in. Thank you for that. It was a complete game changer for our wholesaling business. Sorry you didn't get to that in the podcast.
Oh, thank you for that.
So thank you guys for that.
Absolutely.
Thank you for that. All right. We'll see you soon.
Cool.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys.